Right now, it's a challenge. A lot of young guys, Matt Nicky being the only fifth-year senior, has been in the system the entire time. But right now, where we're at, I'm happy. I'm not satisfied. I went back to doing a lot of basic things. That's kind of what spring football is all about. Getting back to fundamentals and having these young players that we have understand alignments, stance, and keys and responsibilities. It's kind of what we focus on throughout the spring. That's working on situations as well. But I'm happy where we're at right now.
Well, now that I'm older, of course, now younger players are looking up to me, and they need my energy, my effort, for them to feel that, okay, I can do it too, or we can do this together, we can win. And they just feel that they need that from my older players. And I feel like that I need to be more of a leader, just to get them going.
Mark Martinez, a young man from the Waco area, Midway High School, and he's done a really good job. He has a natural instinct. He makes my job a whole lot easier as a linebacker coach. He's very instinctive, physical, smart, understands leverage, things that happened well before me. And I just happen to have the pleasure of being able to work with him this spring. Also, and not because of who his father is, but K. Cole. He's really made a change. He's a young man, obviously, that came up a little different, and how Coach Cole raised his son in regards to the homeschooling and playing in the six-man football. So to him, it was a totally different situation. And he's really gotten physical, I guess. And he's really changed his body and worked on flexibility. And it's given him opportunity to do some things. He's a ways away, but he's definitely gotten better. And Jay Grant, a young man out of Berkner High School that was actually an offensive lineman, played like a quick offensive tackle for those guys that we saw with athleticism could make the change and transition to the defensive side of the ball. And he's done some things that I'm excited about. So those three guys right there have really made a step up in regards to finally getting a chance to be coached, opposed to, presenting themselves in a situation that we had obviously in the fall as far as redshirting is concerned.
Those new guys, they work hard, they're good players, got a lot of depth, I can say that. So, they'll be ready to go. Practice, we go hard always, and that's one thing we always do, make sure we practice hard so we can prepare well.
Well, I came out this spring knowing that Marquise was back and Matt Nicky was back, and I knew that I just needed to come out and learn from them and what their mistakes are, and to help myself when I get my chance on the field to go out there and perform and show Coach Kofor what I can do next fall. Well, this spring I'm just trying to know the plays, come in, watch more film with Kofor and learn what the offense is trying to do, and just learn the game of football this spring rather than last spring just trying to learn the plays all the time.
We do have depth at linebacker. Not a whole lot of quality depth, but some young men have stepped up and played in a few football games for us. And I kind of shook it up this last week and a half. Matt Nicky understands the expectations I have for him as a fifth-year senior. And at one point, I told him I'm going to quit talking about it. Matt Nicky in 2009 was, one of the best linebackers in the conference. He's dealt with a lot of different issues in regards to injuries, and Matt is trying to get back to where he once was. At the same time, Marquise Waller has taken off, and along with Alex Anderson and Julius Herndon, those guys definitely supply a lot of depth at those positions with game time experience. But I shook it up, and you'll see a different situation, because if the season was to start today, I can't say who I would start, but it'll be a lot different for some young guys that have really done a good job this spring. The fact that we've been able to transition and being physical football players. Not that we were not physical during the course of the year, but situations in which I try to get our kids to understand to maintain leverage and stand square to the line of scrimmage and pressing, but being physical at the point of impact. I try to show them the difference between making a tackle and you fall forward for 2 to 3 yards, opposed to getting in the line of scrimmage and making a tackle for a loss. It's a lot easier as a coordinator, not worrying about schematics, but it's tough to make a second and medium call, second and short call. There's no good ones that I've seen out there yet. So just pressing the issue of being physical this spring, and we got out there pretty good, and we're going to finish up that way as well.
The first thing I would say is Coach Craven is, he played for me at Midwestern there for a year, and to get Coach Ryan Craven in the mix. He's done a great job with these kids, and I'm excited where he goes. And I'm just kind of guiding him along right now and showing him how to coach. But he's done a wonderful job. We don't have a lot of depth at DB, but we have a lot of guys that I feel like can play right now. Everybody knows when you talk about defensive backs right now, we're talking about Deshaun Phillips, and Deshaun's had a solid spring. We've made some changes in some of the things that he's done over the past to try to make him a little bit better. Anytime you got a guy that was a all conference player of the year, on some ballots, on some teams he was an All-American, even as high as the second team, he's done a great job. But the kid works hard, and he plays hard, and he does all the little things that I ask him to do. And Deshaun's been a pleasure to coach. It's easy to coach him, is what a lot of people said. I had one guy say, hey, who can coach these DBs? Well, what they don't understand is these DBs are like golfers. Their technique as a defensive back is constantly changing with the changing of the offenses and what they're able to do. And it's a constant battle what we're trying to work with Deshaun, and I felt like we made great strides. I've been excited about him. We got Blair Johnson coming back, who's an honorable mention all conference, and has done a great job for us. Blair is a kid that's a transfer quarterback, and a 5-year player. He's over the years he's developed, and I've really been pleased with him. He's starting to develop in one of the better safeties I've ever had, and as long as his progression keeps coming, he'll have a chance to have a great year. He's kind of the silent leader. He doesn't say anything, and everybody knows he's going to hit. He's a big hitter, and he plays hard, and he doesn't say boo. That's I wish sometimes he would be a little more vocal so he could take control of the back end as a quarterback, and as his former quarterback, I'd like to see that, but that's not in his personality. So he's done a great job. Behind him is a kid I really like, and a guy named Brandon Moore. I call him the Bullet because the guy is a very physical human being. He is one of the biggest hitters I think I've ever seen. And I've got to get him to kind of control it a little bit. We're a ready, fire, aim guy. I got to get him to aim that and come to balance and get himself under control. But hitting and starting to see some of those things, he is a wonderful football player in that aspect. And but we got to, he's still a freshman, so we're learning the game a little bit. We've gone slow with him, and I haven't thrown him in the deep end yet as far as the schematics, because I'm more worried about his technique. But I've really been pleased with him. At the other safety, at our weak side safety, is Dez Jackson, and Dez all-conference player. Haven't seen Dez play healthy yet. Played most of the year with a broken foot last year. Right now he's in the middle of spring practice with a great big old knee brace because he's got to have his knee scoped at the end of spring. He got started at the University of Oklahoma in certain situations for him. He has that type of talent. One of the smartest players I've ever coached. Understands the game, understands leverages, understands schemes, understands offensive schemes, understands defensive schemes. Very, very, very intelligent football player. I can't wait to see what Dez is going to do healthy. I haven't for 2 years got to coach Dez the techniques and things that we've been able to do, only because Dez, broken foot, bad habits. Bad knee, bad habits, and I think this summer that that Dez can break some of those habits, and be exciting to see him next year. Behind him is Charlie Moore. That's Brandon's older brother, it's Charlie and Brandon. I always tell them that because I was a little brother and I didn't want to be known as little Fowler all the time. So, but Charlie's a great player on that weak side safety, and will do a good job. Charlie could start for us somewhere. He's had a solid spring. Charlie's a 4.0 student and does on and off the football field. He does a great job. I'm really pleased with Charlie. I've coached Charlie a little bit harder than I have these guys in the spring because he's in year 2 now, and I've got to drive him a little bit. But I'm excited about him. At the corner, Devin Figures has been with us now going on his 3rd year, and Figures is the starting boundary corner and is really improved. He's made more strides than I thought he would. He's made more jumps than I thought he would. I hoped he would because he's a great kid and a great student. He's very intelligent, and to have him take off and be able to do some of the things that he did, I was very, very excited about him. And looking at us, at our outside linebacker, Dan Jackson has been able to go through spring practice. Hasn't been able to hit though. So he had shoulder surgery, and Dan is an all-conference player. Excited about him. Had another kid there that's been hurt ever since he got here in Chance Haven. Wanted to see what he could do, but he's had pneumonia, and so we've been a little bit depleted. Well, not a little bit. We've been a lot depleted at our rover position. And Julius Herndon, one of our inside linebackers, has been having to play that for us all spring. I know this. Blair Johnson started for us at rover. He can play rover. Brandon the Bullet Moore can play down there at any moment, and would probably thrive at the rover position. I have to teach them and work them as that safety position because I can move them down, but it's hard to coach them up and move them back, and that's where we're at right now. If we're in the season and one of those guys would have moved down and been our starting rover, I just don't want to take away their learning curve. But I'm excited about these great kids. I've got to have some depth at corner. We signed some high school kids. There's a couple other transfers that we need to look to try to get in there. But behind Deshaun and behind Figures, I haven't seen a guy that I think could play a snap in the Lone Star Conference. So that worries me quite a bit. And of the whole football team, and me not talking as the DB coach here, but now talking as the head coach, as the whole football team here, I'm worried about the depth at corner more than I am any position that we have. And we've got to get some guys in here and have some young guys step up. There's some guys there, I just hadn't had them step up. I know I could move Dez to this corner and I could do those things, but I gave those guys 15 practices to step up. I haven't seen it. So now we're going to have to go with option 2 at that area.
I mean, I got a lot of stuff I need to get better at, and but I mean, all of us working together. I mean, we're pretty tight as a DB core. I mean, we help each other out in every way we can. If I'm not doing something right, he'll correct me. If he's not doing something right, I'll correct him, and we just roll with it. And that's why I think we're going to do good as a team, as a DB core, because we can, we trust each other and we can talk to each other, and it's working out well.
I kind of seen exactly what I wanted to see, what I knew I was going to see, because I know Blair, physical, Fig stepped up, because I always knew Fig had it, and now he's starting to trust himself, gain confidence, and so he's stepping up at the boundary. Dez, physical, and then it's like we have Brandon. To be honest with you, that's one of the only young ones I've seen just step up and just ball, like, because it's like, I'm not trying to be funny, but like the other backups, they seem timid sometimes doing certain things, and I feel like I just want to see them just play football. Like, I don't know if they're nervous or what it is, but it seemed like the only Bullet, like, and Charles, the only two that's like ready. Because the spring is more brothers, because the spring is basically getting you ready for the season, and it feel like they're the only ones that's ready to just go out there and ball, and it's just because it's physical. It's a physical game out there, and it was things I had to do to make myself a better player, And I mean, it's chemistry. I done build a chemistry with Blair, so it's me and Blair have our own language out there on the field. So even though we may get in a little trouble, but we'll try to make sure we can do what we gotta do to stop it. But I just want to, by the end of the spring game, I just want to see like everybody just have fun playing and play hard, and don't leave, don't have any regrets at the end of the game on what they could have done all spring differently to be playing in the fall.
I don't think I'll see it. They've had 14 practices. I haven't been physical. If you're physical, I can teach you to do anything. And being able to get in the stance and being able to work the techniques. The techniques is the things that those guys have been able to handle. I'm all, the game on defense is reaction and being physical. The reaction is slow to stop the run and to be able to do certain things because I don't know how physical they are, and I don't, and that's the thing that concerns me the most.